January 15th of 2022, I entered a remote duel YCS. What was supposed to be YCS Pasadena, the first in-person event since the pandemic, but it got canceled due to COVID growing worse, so they changed it to a remote duel, and because they did so, I was actually able to attend. I walked into the event playing Tenyi Swordsoul, in my opinion, the best deck of the format. I almost made top 32. I did make day 2. My record was really good, and I'm gonna go ahead and touch on my matchups. So round 1, I got paired up against True Draco with Dragoon. I won the dice roll, and I just built an unstoppable board, and he scooped without revealing what he was on. Game 2, he let me go first, and I just had all the answers. Meanwhile, he was slow playing, taking a lot of time on his turns. Little did I know he had a burn strategy to try to win in time, but I was already up a game, so the most he could have done was try to go for a draw. But because I started rushing him, because I was playing quick, he got upset, and at the end of the game, he tried to get upset with me and tell me that I was playing slow, when in actuality, the roles were reversed. So I ended up taking round 1 2-0. Round 2, I got paired up against Madolche, and I won the dice roll, thankfully. I built a board that was very hard to combat, and just like the previous round, he scooped game 1. Game 2, not revealing what he was on, and in game 1, I found he was on Madolche, so I had to sideboard in the blind. Come to find out, in a really long, dragged out game 2, he ended up winning in the grind. Game 3, I had the perfect combination of hand traps and engine cards, and it definitely served me well because I ended up stealing round 2 2-1. Round 3, I got paired up against Sky Striker, and I feel really bad because not only did I once again win the dice roll, but I opened Imperial Order game 1. He had a lot of hand traps, stopped everything I was doing, but Imperial Order won me the game. Game 2, it turned into a grind game because I had quite a few hand traps. I stopped his Shizuku, so he was slow getting started as he didn't have access to engage. And as he tried to make a Shizuku on the next turn, and he hand trapped me a good amount, and he had quite a bit of back row. After he finally managed to search his engage in the end phase, I top decked Harpy Feather Duster, and I was able to push for game. Round 4, I got paired up against Drytron, and again, somehow I won the dice roll. I never get this lucky on dice roll, so this day was just in my favor. Again, I was able to build an unstoppable board that made him just scoop game 1. Game 2, didn't know he was on Drytron, and this man just popped off and I didn't see many hand traps. And game 3, it turned into a very grind game. I went first, and I didn't see a whole lot of Swordsoul cards, mainly just the Tenyi engine, but he had Ash, so I was able to do very minimal plays, but thankfully I had just enough to stop him, and we were in a simplified game state. Sure enough, both of us on very few cards in hand. I was able to draw another Tenyi, and I was able to make a Chow Fang, and he only had 2 cards in hand. Sure enough, he draws Drytron Nova. He couldn't really do much to get around the Chow Fang. So he did, however, try everything to win the matchup, even trying to activate Drytron Nova to bring out Draconids. And I informed him that you cannot do that. So nonetheless, I ended up winning against Drytron 2-1. Round 5, I got paired up against Phantom Knights with Enforcer. Somehow, winning the dice roll again. 5 matches in a row, I built an unstoppable board that was very hard to combat, and he did not reveal what he was on. Game 2, he was able to go full combo, and I didn't see a single hand trap. And that is very unfortunate in the PK matchup. And he was able to scythe lock me with Enforcer. That led us to game 3. And it's just very, very unfortunate, because I was able to go full combo with plenty of hand traps in hand, and he starts his turn with the Fusion Destiny, which is met by my Ash, and he said that's game. He revealed his hand and he drew every brick in his deck. He drew 2 BA monsters, he drew Phantom Knight Wings, Shade Brigandine, and Celestial and Dasher. That is just unfortunate for him, but he was a very nice guy. So that brings us to round 6. I got paired up against a Worlds competitor. Me, living under a rock, had no idea who he was. I won the dice roll once again, and I just went full combo. And just like a lot of the other matchups, he scooped, not revealing what he was on. Sure enough, game 2, I come to find out he is on birds. Sure enough, I blindsided the perfect cards. Game 2, I opened up Lancia, Gamma, Ash, plus an Ecclesia and a Desires. Just imagine how that duel turned out. Birds have a very hard time playing through Lancia, Gamma, and Ash. I saved Gamma for last because I had Ecclesia in my hand. I didn't even have to use Gamma on his turn. All he had was a Fractal in attack mode. And I special summoned Ecclesia, activated effect, and was just praying he ashed me because I had Gamma still. Nonetheless, he did not have Ash, but I was able to just go for game, and surprisingly, I was able to beat a Worlds competitor in less than 15 minutes. Unbelievable. Round 7, I got paired up against Marchenko, who made it all the way to the top 4 with birds, where I wish my luck from the previous round had carried into this, because it was quite the opposite for me. I won the dice roll, but he had a lot of hand traps plus engine. So I lost game 1, and then game 2, he literally did the same thing. He dropped a Nibiru on me, and then went full combo. So I was 6-0, and then I lost round 7. Round 8, I got paired up in the Swordsoul Mirror match, which was very, very fun. This was the craziest match of the entire day, because game 3, I made him go first, and he was not expecting it. We both combated each other's strategy a balanced amount, and the game ultimately ended in a very insane fashion. I had 1 card in hand, which was just a dead Moyi because I had nothing else with it. He had a Monk, a Shishao, and a Blackout. I drew the perfect card. I top decked Pot of Desires, and that Desires netted me a Tinyi Vishuda and Protos, where I was able to end the game because he was exactly 2500. So I went Vishuda, bounces Monk, and then I special summoned Protos and called Light and attacked for game. When I almost lost that game. Round 9, I got paired up against Sebastian Todd, also known as Deadly B7, in the Swordsoul Mirror match, and he was on a very interesting build of Swordsoul. Game 1, I was in a winning position, and he just had a monk and one card in hand, and that one card in hand was a Ghost Ogre, whom he normal summoned and went into Hauki Fibrax, into Despot 001, into Auroradon, and from there his combos got started, and that cost me that game. Game 2, I absolutely bricked. He had an imperm for my Mo Yi, and I had nothing else, not even enough hand traps. So it's unfortunate I lost to Deadly B7. So now my record as of day 1 was X2, which I made it to day 2. So going into day 2, I got paired up round 10 against Prank Kids. And this turned out very, very unfortunate. I was so close to making the top 32, but game 3, he went first, and he bricked. He set 2 back row and passed. So I went, but my opening hand was simply Ash Blossom, Gamma, and Driver, Chalice, and Summit. I drew into a Mo Yi, whom he flipped Skill Drain, and all he needed was 1 starter, and that was the end of the game. It's very, very unfortunate because he had a lot of extenders and triple tactic talents. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. Looking back on it, I think I would have sided a little bit differently, but I can only carry that with me moving forward. Round 11, my opponent never showed up, so it was a free win for me. Overall, I had a lot of fun in the tournament, and overall I did really well starting the tournament with 6-0 before getting my first loss. However, I did get 65th place in the whole tournament out of over 2,000 people, so I'm not too upset about it because I was top 100, and I will be playing in another Remote Duel YCS. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay tuned for future content. This is Alpha the Wizard reporting out.